Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a Gaming Twist. I'm your host, Clifton, and welcome to the final live stream of 2025. I'm going to be releasing my top whiskeys of the year video on January 1st of 2026, so therefore this is the last video and live stream of the year. But it's going to be a very, very fun one because we have a brand that is new to me and hopefully, or maybe new to you, or if you are familiar with them, drink along with us. I just always love a chance to try some new whiskey towards the end of the year. As you know, I'm compiling my top 10 whiskeys of the year. You never know what I can stumble across in the last few days of the year. So I'm really looking forward to that. I want to say hello to a few folks here in the chat. I see Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans out there. What's up, Michael? Good to see you, my friend. RIP Shy Guys here as well. Doug Taste and Sensibility is here in the chat. Alfonso is here. Don Nishida is here. Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we're a little bit late today, but it's all good because we have very, very special guests that I'm very excited to bring on. If you guys didn't know, I have a podcast. A new episode came out this morning. It is a review of the new Willet 4-year Purple Top Small Batch Bourbon, the new shelf-stable core lineup release. I have thoughts about it. You're going to want to hear the podcast and hear my thoughts on that bottle. You can find that wherever you get your podcast. Bourbonbytes.com has a link to all the episodes there. I'm very curious to hear you guys' thoughts on that podcast episode. Don says, "What? You have a podcast?" Oh, Don, I think you knew that, but unless you're joking, then maybe you didn't know. You can check it out, bourbonbytes.com. We have Patrick Bourbon Noob here as well. Cheers to you. I've been playing some Peak and RV there yet over on Twitch with Patrick and Zopher and Fred and great little gaming random midweek live streams we've been doing over there. If you missed them, twitch.tv/Bourbon Bytes. But today is our regular live stream. Like I said, last one of the year, but it's going to be very, very fun. I'm going to go ahead and stop delaying since we are a little bit late. I'm going to bring on our very special guest. Please welcome to the show, Josh and Mitch from Branch Barrel Distilling. Cheers, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us on, Clifton.
Yeah, of course. I love the costume here. Very on theme. I was like, oh, he's got a Santa/wizard hat, so I got to at least turn on my red and green lights behind me because I actually looked to see if I had a hat. I don't have a hat. So, but good to have you guys. So okay, I'm gonna remember this. Josh is the vice president of Branch and Barrel, and then Mitch is the master blender over there. So good to have you guys on. Thank you guys for coming on the channel and volunteering to talk with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving us the platform. This is super exciting for us too, and we're thrilled to get into it. Talk about us, talk about the whiskey, and just form some relationships.
Happy to be here.
Definitely. Absolutely. So like I said, we have 5 different whiskeys. If you guys are curious what we're drinking, there's a in the description below, you'll see all 5 pours that we're having today. We're also going to do a part 2 of the stream in January. We haven't quite picked a date yet, where we're going to get into some of their more limited edition offerings. So I'm very excited to try their core lineup today. It should be a very fun one. Some very unique whiskey that I'm very looking forward to trying here. So before I guess we get into Branch and Barrel, can you guys tell us just a little bit about yourselves and your background and how you got into this role?
Yeah. So it's a winding journey that leads us to where we get going. And before I got here, I was actually working at a Total Wine. I took over the spirits program at my Total Wine as well as their educational program. I've done a lot of certifications throughout various different sources and discovered I had a pretty good palate, but also more importantly than that, a deep love of bourbon and whiskey in general. And so these guys I was lucky enough to get on board with, started out shoveling corn and running the tasting room. And now we're here making the best damn bourbon in Colorado together. So
amen.
That's been kind of the journey on this end.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have a pretty long background in the industry. I love alcohol. Drinking's great.
Cheers.
Really big fan of the sport of it, but also the flavor of it. I've worked in beer, wine, and spirits. I was a bartender for about 4 years, and then I worked a year at a fine wine shop. I've got beer certifications. I've got wine certifications. Mitch and I are actually both working on a spirits certification. So just both big fans of the genre. I actually started out on the sales team on Branch and Barrel. One of their sales reps before either of us started had met me at one of the bars I was working at, and we just had a great conversation. Asked me to come in for an interview, and before I knew it, we were slinging whiskey. And while Mitch was getting the tasting room program up and running, I was kind of getting the sales program revamped and up and running, and here we are.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's funny hearing about, especially you mentioned coming from like Total Wine. I think Chad Watson is another good friend of the channel. He is the master blender, I believe, or he's at least, I don't know his title, but he's at Rare Character. But he also was a Total Wine spirits manager, and then he got into distilling. So it seems like that's a pretty common career path, believe it or not. Like, I guess it makes sense. Like, you're surrounded by bourbon and whiskey all day, and you're like, you know what, I can maybe make better than what's on the shelves here. At least, hopefully, that's what you're thinking.
I know it's a little controversial to support like the big chain names like that, but one thing they do really well is train their employees and invest in them very heavily. And so you can go in there knowing nothing, and they'll make sure by the time you leave, you know what you're talking about. It's they've got a good program for that for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I know I've done a couple of the wine classes you can do there. I'm very fortunate we have a Total Wine like 5 minutes for me. So like I get their emails about like, oh, we're doing a California wine class. So I always go and I always learn so much every time I go to those. So yeah, I've definitely seen it on the wine side. I've not necessarily seen it too much on the spirit side, but I think it's just because my store doesn't do spirits tasting as far as I'm aware. Well, we do have some folks in the chat saying hello, so I want to make sure I don't miss any questions. If you guys have questions throughout the stream, please feel free to put them in. If I miss them, sorry, post them again. I promise I'm not ignoring you. I just might have lost track of the chat. Okay, Don is answering his question. He does listen to the podcast every Thursday. I didn't know if he was joking or not, if he listens to it or not. Michael says, no live stream on Christmas Eve. What am I supposed to do? Talk to my family? Yes, unfortunately, I'll be traveling back to South Carolina. People are saying hello, welcome to the stream. Good to see you guys. And Michael says, what costume? I don't see a costume.
Yeah, look like this.
RIP Shy Guy says, do you guys sell your white dog? Oh, do you guys do, I know you guys do other spirits other than whiskey, right? Or is it just whiskey right now?
No, we've done a Jamaican pot still rum. We do a gin. We're working on a vodka. We dabbled in agave spirits. We've looked
nice.
at selling white dog. That is something that down the road we've considered doing. There hasn't been a ton of requests for it, but it is very good. And if you do come by the tasting room, I'm happy to pour you some. That is something I can definitely do.
That's awesome. So Don Nishida is actually, he's based in Colorado. He says, I need to get over to their tasting room. They are only 41 minutes from you. And
Dude,
then
come on down.
Patrick's going to be visiting him soon. He said, Don, we should go. So you guys might have some visitors. If you guys visit, tell them that I sent you. Maybe they'll let you taste the white dog, like you said. Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about Branch and Barrel. So like I said, it's a new brand to me. I'm not very familiar with it. Can you give us like the elevator pitch of the brand and like where they started and where they are now?
We started in a garage and we're still in a garage.
There we go.
So the Branch and Barrel has been a long time coming. Our owners met through their various work, like their various day jobs back in the late 2010s, and kind of bonded over the idea of making what they had envisioned as the perfect Colorado style bourbon. One of the things that we may reference throughout the conversation is that, you know, we never really set out to taste like anything in particular. I like to joke that no one ever really told us what to do, and we never asked. So we just kind of blazed our own trail through it. The owners early on were just trying to come up with a authentic Colorado style bourbon with a unique flavor profile, and so they just kind of bonded over that idea. Two of them enjoy drinking. One of them is actually sober to this day. Just really enjoys the inventive side of it, the being able to flex in that creative space. And so we had one owner who was in commercial real estate, one that was in general contracting, and one that was in plumbing and HVAC. And that's a pretty powerful skill set when you're looking to open a distillery. So they the two that enjoyed the drinking side of things kind of got their heads together. They found a recipe. They bought turkey fryers at Bass Pro Shops and how to distill books on Amazon.com, and they had Scott, our plumber, create a 5-gallon hot water heater still for them. And they started distilling the authentic American way and just kind of plunged forward from there.
Yeah, we still do it today. In fact, you can see right behind us, this is one of our stills made from a distilled water plant tank. We built this entire garage into a distillery ourselves. We did our own plumbing, gas, electrical, cement work. All the stills and fermenters were all designed and built by us. Just having that skill set and background allowed us a lot of flexible creativity in being able to design the shop to be what we wanted it to be and what we needed it to be.
Well, I don't know if that helps answer or makes this question even more complicated. Is it column still or pot still? You said you designed the stills yourselves?
It is a pot still.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. Wow. I mean, that's crazy. Like, I feel like that's a different way than I've seen other smaller brands approach it, and I love that. It's like the whole like startup mentality and like really literally building it from the ground up. That's crazy, but awesome. Well, I'm gonna go and get to my first pour. I'm gonna pour myself the 3 year right now. But while I do that, I'm curious to hear. You said, like you said, you're trying to make original Colorado style bourbon. In each of your minds, what does that mean to you personally?
I think the genre itself is kind of still becoming defined, even for as long as some of the distilleries that have existed in Colorado. Everyone kind of had a different inspiration going into this, especially since American single malt has become a more formally recognized style. A lot of our trailblazers were getting into the American single malt game earlier on, such as Stranahan's. And I think a lot of the folks that kind of jumped into the bourbon game were a little bit more inspired by, like, can we make, and these are my words, this is not no one else's words, but can we make a Kentucky inspired bourbon here in Colorado? So I think there are definitely some folks out there who are trying to emulate a flavor profile that's a little bit closer to what a lot of people would consider traditional. But for us, Colorado style is pretty straightforward. As I'd mentioned, we never really set out with a particular goal for, like, oh, it's got to taste this way or it's got to come across this certain way. We just said, we're going to use Colorado grains that we get from a variety of farmers throughout the state. We get our corn from Wiggins, Colorado, from a dairy co-op. We get the rest of our grains from Alamosa area, which is down south near the Great Sand Dunes. And so we've got great terroir here in Colorado, whether it's beer, wine, or spirits. That doesn't get talked about, as I feel, as much as it should. Yeah. This state's got a lot of great agriculture to showcase. So we've got great grains. We've got an incredible still system, really just original approach to distillation. And we've got a great water supply too. One of our owners is blessed with properties that have very deep wells. So we're actually able to pull centuries old Rocky Mountain snowmelt right out of the Arapahoe aquifer. And when you combine all those quality ingredients together with just kind of a unique recipe and a unique approach to it, you just get something that tastes a little bit different. Doesn't quite taste like anybody else.
I can imagine. Wow. That, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's not just the farms, but the water and everything. It's like, sometimes we hear people like say like, oh, we're trying to make our own style, but then they're end up sourcing different things. And I'm like, is that really your style? Or is it like you're actually making your style of whiskey? So that's super exciting. Well, let's talk about the mash bill. So you said these core line, the 3, 5, and 6 year, you said it's a 2-grain mash bill, right?
Yes, that's right. It is 80% corn from that dairy farm co-op and 20% malted barley down from the San Luis Valley. The one thing that is different, that is true for all of our spirits, that's worth mentioning, is that we actually slow distill our spirits 4 times longer than the average. So we actually run our stills for about 32 hours to actually get our distillate. And we proof them down in the beginning before it goes into the barrel to make sure that when it comes out, for instance, this is proofed down to 44% or 88 proof, but it goes into the barrel at 104 or 52%, rather than higher than that. So that way it has all those years to settle in the barrel and homogenize and become cohesive. So even though we had a little bit of water at the end here, it's still going to taste robust and oily and sit on the tongue for a long time. And that's always been a goal of ours, is you should be able to taste your bourbon after you drink it. It shouldn't fall off a cliff.
We're big on texture and we're big on flavor, and those are 2 components that I personally feel are important to the Colorado style.
Oh, well, I'm just knowing that I'm a fan of the Colorado style already. That's interesting. I know they're like, that's relatively rare in the industry to do the proofing in the barrel before that. So you said you do it when you're first barreling it, or is it like after you've barreled it for a bit?
Before it goes in the barrel. So
okay.
We tried filling the barrels at 125, and we found that when it came out at the end, we'd have to add so much water. It tasted thin and hollow. And we do everything by hand back here. Nothing's automated. It's all shovels, buckets, valves. And we put a lot of work into making this the best bourbon we can. And there's no sense in putting out something we're not proud of. So we found proofing it out in the beginning gave us a better product. And we're willing to take the cut on productivity to make a better quality.
Cheers to that. Well, tell us about this first release. This is your 3-year bourbon. What kind of made you feel like this was the age that you were ready to, like, okay, we're going to start bottling this because we're proud of this release? Tell us a little bit about the 3-year.
So the main reason that we did that was we felt like a lot of people do 2-year bourbons in Colorado. There is this generally accepted idea that we get double the extraction because of our altitude and climate here of oak. Versus you would at like sea level or in Kentucky or somewhere closer to that.
Extreme temperature swings, more contraction and expansion through the wood.
And so like
Gotcha,
2
okay.
years in Colorado could be considered close to a 4-year Kentucky. We found that between 3 and 8 years has been our sweet spot, like 3 and 7 years. And when it hit 3 years and we first started tasting it, we said that really turned the corner and brought more of the sugars out, made it softer, and gave it that nice maturity. And we thought, as far as like making a bourbon that was more of a daily sipper, kind of your more economical pour, so to speak, 3 years was that perfect balance of like low input cost on our end so we could keep the price down, but also high quality in flavor and texture. And so it was just like that balancing act between those two ideologies.
Yeah, it's kind of a Venn diagram between, we're listening to the market, understanding what price point people want to shop right now, but there's still having the desire to support something local, and then also putting out a flavor profile that we're happy with and we're proud of. And we feel that 3 years has hit that mark. We're thrilled to say that.
That's awesome. I always hear that about, just different states distilling their own product because the climate is such a big impact on it. I don't think I've ever actually thought about the altitude affecting it, not just the climate, just the temperature swings, but the altitude itself. I mean, we look at things like Texas whiskey where, you age it longer than 4 or 5 years, and you basically just have like burnt, like it just is it's so much oak influence on that. So it's interesting to hear that that's kind of the altitude plays an aspect of it as well. I mean, I guess I just never really considered that. Is that something that you think? I don't know how to ask that question. Is it something that you think other people think of, or is it just like a uniquely Colorado thing because you guys are so high altitude?
I mean, there are like I know Still Austin has done some studies like where they've put barrels all around the world to measure the effect of the different climates on the barrel. So there is definitely that thought process going into it now where people are starting to consider these things. But it is just one of the pleasures of being in Colorado and just kind of the effect it has where we are. That, like you said, Texas is looking at becoming their own like protected origin like style of whiskey because it is different. When you drink Texas bourbon, it's oilier, it's heavier because the heat is so much more pronounced. And we just happen to have more oak extraction because of the altitude and the temperature swings. So our bourbon also has its own character to it, which is, I think, part of the Colorado style.
Yeah, I just had in my first sip of it. It's so, like you said, it's got such a nice mouthfeel and it's so rich. I mean, there's a lot of vanilla, there's a lot of sweetness here. I mean, even though there's, interestingly enough, like you said, quite a bit of oak for something being only 3 years old, and I think that's just kind of a testament to it. Do you guys, what size barrels are you guys using for something like this?
It's right behind us here actually.
Okay.
It depends.
Okay.
Barrel availability is a variable that we deal with sometimes, but it's either 30 gallon or 53 gallon, and sometimes when Mitch is putting his blends together, it'll be a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's about the outcome, right? So we predominantly use 53s, but sometimes you throw a 30 in just to give it a little more texture and depth.
Definitely. Well, I was just curious because it almost, I see a lot of different distilleries that do deal with the climate. It's such an impact on it. They use the smaller, like the even smaller barrels than that. But I can tell this has a much wider variety of flavor that isn't, limited to just those smaller barrels. That's why I was asking, because I think this one, it has like a rich chocolatey quality to it that I think is something that I wouldn't expect, again, from, maybe this is just my own bias, but hearing a 3-year-old bourbon having this depth of quality and flavor is just really unique, something I don't think I've experienced with any other 3-year-old distillate.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it has that nice cherry, that chocolate like you talk about. There's almost like a creme brulee vanilla character. There's some like white pepper kind of notes. There's a diversity to the palate that is we find surprising at 3 years, and it's been very well accepted here in Colorado as a house staple now for something that's just easy to drink at a good price.
Our whole operation was really designed to work a very unique and specific way to get as much quality and flavor out of the grain as possible. Mitch mentioned a couple of like the slow distillation, the proofing on the front end. We also we steep our grains a lot more similarly to a tea than versus cooking like a cornbread. So we actually don't have a mash cooker. We use a series of tanks where we do very literally a grain steep when we're cooking our mash, and we've just found that all those things together contribute to a product that we're really proud of, even at a younger age statement.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in terms of pricing, I know it varies depending on people's markets, but just roughly, what would this 3-year bourbon go for?
About 35 on the shelf is what we're aiming for with that. That's our DSRP.
Awesome. And are you guys currently just only in Colorado, or are you available elsewhere?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, only in Colorado at the moment. Someday. We've been around
That's
10
always the goal.
years, but we're working on it.
Listen, that's why I love, interviewing brands early on, because guess what? People can find this video when you guys do. I know you will eventually get national distribution, and then they'll get a chance to see this. So that's awesome. I mean, I will say that what a treat for those that are in the Colorado area. I mean, it's just really flavorful. It actually makes me really excited to see where we're going to go next with each of these other releases, because not to say everything always gets better with age, but I have a feeling this one probably does. So let's go to move to the 5-year. Let's talk about this one. So what makes the difference between, at least what are you looking for in like the 3-year compared to a 5-year? Like what flavors are you looking to enhance more with the 5-year release?
The 5-year, we really try to hone in on that like creme brulee, like caramelized sugars, vanillas, and like nuttiness. There's definitely always this like nougaty nuttiness, walnuttiness that comes from our 5-year bourbon. The 5-year bourbon is our staple. That's like our house bourbon. That's what we're known for. We've been making that recipe for 10 years now, and we're finally old enough that we can consistently have 5-year barrels available to make it. So it is a staple 5-year bourbon at this point. And it's everything you liked about the 3-year, but more pronounced, richer, a little bit bolder, and then the flavors are just dialed way up.
Awesome. I have a couple questions in the chat. So first of all, hello, bourbon before bacon, climate, and the winter changes things. Absolutely, for sure. Michael from Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans says, does the lower proof barreling help with the angel share considering your dry climate? What are the temperature swings in your barrel house?
It does for sure. When we first started out and we were doing those high proof fillings, we were losing up to 25% angel share. We are down to closer to 12% now, which is a combination of things. I mean, the cooperages we're using, the way we're treating the product, and then the storage itself has helped a lot. The rack house itself, there are pretty big temperature changes. They are enclosed. They're not exposed to the elements, of course. So it's not as drastic as if it were outside. But I mean, they're not climate controlled. There are heaters in there to keep it from getting below freezing. Because, if the liquid in the barrel gets below freezing, then you stop aging properly. And so like we're trying to avoiding that happening if we have a major freeze come through. But realistically, like having it be 23 degrees in the morning and 65, 70 during the day, like we're getting that big swing naturally just through the rack house.
And it typically won't be that dramatic on the barrels themselves. When you have that high volume and density of liquid together, the temperature does change more slowly than it would were the barrels spaced apart a bit more, but it still is definitely more dramatic than a lot of climates in the United States.
Gotcha. Wow. Again, I'm learning so much. Tony Vagadonut says, is 3 years the minimum age with the 3-year release?
Yes. I don't think we've put anything into it that was older as of yet. It's a fairly new product. There's still room to do that if we choose to, but as of this release, everything in it is 3 years old, just completely the whole way through.
Gotcha. Awesome. And thank you, Emily, for dropping the link to their website. Yeah, you guys check out their website. They have a link. They have all their core portfolio there. Check it out. And if you have any questions, of course, now's the great time to ask them. Of course, if you guys are watching the replay, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to reach out to them and see if we can get some answers for you whenever you choose to watch this video. Cool. So like I said, I just poured the 5-year. I'm curious to hear what tasting notes you get on this. Like you said, you kind of feel like it dials in all the things you love about the 3-year. I haven't actually tasted it yet. But while I go into it, what do each of you love about this 5-year, since it is your staple?
It has a very subdued cherry note, which I really do enjoy cherry notes in bourbon, especially when they're not over the top. There's a lot of the baking spices, the cinnamon, that sort of like brown sugared nuts. I get a lot of like candied nuts in there that I really enjoy. But on top of it all, you do get that sort of like toasted caramelized sugar, and it finishes with that oakiness that I really enjoy. There's like a hint of smoke on the oakiness on the back end. And so it really does have like high points of sugary sweet. It's got like the deep notes of like the barrel notes in the back end. And then it's got a nice mid palate of like fruit, nuts, and like spices that I just think it has kind of a roller coaster of flavor where you have highs and peaks and valleys, and it lasts. So like I just had the sip. He's sipping it now, but I'm still getting tasting notes out of it. And that's more important to us than almost anything else, is that length and texture that you get out of it.
It's going to be
How about
hard
you,
for me
Josh?
to going to be hard for me to one up our master blender's beautifully articulate breakdown of that, but it always has. So what made me fall in love with this bourbon? I actually had the pleasure of trying it before I worked for the company at a bar I was working at, and it was funny. It was being applauded as one of the better bourbons most of the staff had tried. So I was already pretty excited about it going in, but I fell in love with the richness of it, the variety of it, like the diversity of the flavor palette. Like Mitch said, it lingers. It's got a really nice like retro nasal too. When you're exhaling, you still get some of those nice flavor notes coming back out. When you go back into the glass after you've drank it, there's still like depths that you can dig into and learn even more about it. And for me, it was this beautiful. It's almost like a trail mix. Like it's nutty, it's chocolatey, it's fruity. There's a little bit of caramel in there. Mitch mentioned like the dark cherry, the chocolate. I've always gotten a nice like walnut and orange oil kind of vibe off of a lot of our blends as well. So it's got all of these notes that I just love in bourbon and whiskey all together in one place, and the lingering flavors. Like Mitch said, I'm sitting here talking and I can still smell and taste it.
Yeah. What's the proof on this one? Just curious.
92.
Awesome. If you guys want to show the bottles, I'm happy to like highlight you, so I don't, because it says I don't have them in front of me. So nice. This is the 5-year bourbon bottle right here. Nice. Yeah. No, I totally get you. As soon as you said like that cherry note, I absolutely get it. Almost, it kind of makes me feel like, I feel like whiskey to me is seasonal, and I almost feel like this is the perfect like holiday season type whiskey because of that fruitiness. And like you said, it has like, it's not a typical, I don't want to say typical, but it's not the typical vanilla, caramel, baking spices. To me, this is a very unique flavor profile that I've really only experienced in finished bourbon, which is interesting because I feel like some of these nuanced flavors I usually find in like a red wine cask finish. And you guys, I assume, are just using virgin oak, right?
Yeah. One thing that is worth mentioning, though, that I always found interesting about this bourbon is because we use a combination of number 3 char, occasionally a number 4 char, occasionally, but we will do a lot of toasted heads on our barrels. That if you add just a little bit of water to it, it brings out this toasted marshmallow note.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is super fun. So when you get it on the rocks, it like really opens up into like this sort of campfire experience. That's really fun. But yeah, no, it's just number 3 char traditionally with some toasted heads, medium toast, and just long distillate and caring for the grains in the product every step of the way without automation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that flavor-wise is a very different. I mean, I don't think necessarily. I was going to say like, I don't think it's necessarily better, but I think it's different enough from the 3-year that they're their own distinct products, which is very fun. In terms of pricing for the 5-year, what does that usually go for?
Our DSRP for that right now is right about 55.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. I mean, both of those are really impressive. I mean, I'm getting a little jealous of the Colorado market being able to get these. If you had a dream, like, if you guys were saying next steps for, let's say you did want to expand, would you want to, is there any certain particular markets you'd like to get into particularly outside of Colorado?
I know we definitely like the idea of Texas. I mean, anywhere with an established bourbon and whiskey culture and market, I think there's just on average probably more people who are going to be ready to jump into a newer, less familiar style. Sure. Just for the enthusiasm of it. So that, places like that, places like, California too. We actually, long tangential story, but very, very briefly had distribution in California many years ago. And that's another place that we feel like this style would really land. The big thing that we're really hoping for is, and if any of you guys have friends in the legislative side of things, we're really hoping that Colorado legalizes direct-to-consumer shipping. We would love to be able to ship these wonderful bottles all over the United States, and there are of course other ways to do that too. We could warehouse in other states that allow for that, but it's a little bit of a process. It is actually something we're working on. So sometime in the next year or two, we hope to be able to do mail order shipping through one outlet or another, but I think that's kind of ultimately the goal is, we want to be able to send the whiskey to whoever wants to drink it.
That's the right answer. Is if anyone wants a bottle, we want them to have a bottle. Like that's
exactly.
Shouldn't
that's awesome
here, but
yeah. And I think, I'm not a native Californian, but I will say I think people in the California whiskey market are open to a lot more craft distilling, at least from what I've seen. there are the the hardcore fans that only want Kentucky bourbon because bourbon can only be made in Kentucky according to them, and but also there's quite a few of us that really love. I mean, even some of the craft distillers out here, they're widely loved across the world, at least in where I'm at in Los Angeles. So I definitely agree that would be a great market for it. There are some questions in the chat. Michael says, you said you have a slow distillation process. How long are you fermenting and why? What flavors, esters are you shooting for in the mash? But you guys said you guys do it a little bit differently, right? You guys aren't like doing a cooker, but you guys are doing a bit of like a steeping type process. Can you maybe go into a little more detail if people are curious about that?
Sure. So rather than using a mash tun, we actually read some college thesis papers from fermentation scientists where it showed that you could keep more of the grain flavor and like the sugars of the flavor, or the sugars of the grain, I should say, present in your fermentation by steeping it like a tea. So we will actually put, I think it's 800 pounds of corn in a fermenter, fill it with boiling water, let it steep for a full day at that temperature. We will then put fans on it the next day to cool it down to a temperature where the yeast can survive. So on the third day, we will then pitch the barley and the yeast together and allow it to all ferment for an additional 5 days. So it's a week-long process from start to finish. The idea is less about chasing a specific ester and more about just capturing the boldest and the richest flavor from the grain possible without leaving anything on the table. Like just capture everything we can and make it as strong and forward as possible.
It's also worth noting that we don't use any kind of chemical analyzers during our distillation process. It's actually 100% human controlled. Our spirit safe is an open system. So when our head distiller is running each distillation, he's actually assessing the texture of the low wines and the high wines, especially when he's making his cuts on the high wines, and he's tasting, smelling to assess where he's at in the process and what flavors that we're getting out of it. And it's funny, a lot of people would probably associate technology with consistency, but we found that we can create an incredibly consistent product just using the human senses. And again, it's kind of it's tough because we don't isolate like, oh, we want this ester or this phenol or this compound. It's just more about the cumulative effect of all of those things on the texture and the flavor of the whiskey. And if we found that if we can get our white dog tasting consistently good, which we have a very fruity, fragrant, floral white whiskey that comes off of our stills, then we're confident that the finished product is going to taste the way we want it to as well.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard. For any time I've interviewed, a distiller is like, if the white dog's not good, then the whiskey's not going to be good. You can't. The barrel's not going to make it good all of a sudden. It's like you got to start with a good spirit to be able to make a good whiskey or bourbon. So I've heard that across the board. Some people in the chat, Bourbon Lover says, cheers to you, Bourbon Lover. Tony says, that sounds awesome. Just based on the description you guys just gave. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the 6-year SV single barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about this one. Here,
so this is our 6-year single barrel cask strength.
Okay.
So this is just one more year than our traditional bourbon, but it is unadulterated. So it is put down into the bottle at cask strength, which again, we're filling our cask a little bit lower. So this particular one is 106 proof. It climbed 2 points while it was in the barrel. These are, of course, just assessed by quality, texture, flavor. If it's something super special that we think it's better as it is and there's nothing we could do to improve it, then it just goes in the bottle as is. And I mean, that's typical of single barrels, but we're no different. We just had this barrel and said, that's pretty damn good. Like, that's perfect. And so it allows a slightly more premium product where instead of being 92 proof, it's going to be 106. And it's an additional year on it. So it makes it just that much finer. And it's hard to tell. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but the color difference that 1 year made and everything, it definitely comes through as a little bit louder, a little bolder for certain.
Awesome. And then when you guys decide, this barrel is special enough to be bottled as a single barrel, obviously this is the oldest one we've tried so far. Do you see that and then you let it sit longer because you think like, oh, if I give this another year, it's going to be even better? I'm just curious how you ended up with a 6-year single barrel.
Sometimes there are barrels where we taste and we go, it's good. It's not where it needs to be. There is a lot of that in this industry. Of course, patience is a huge virtue in this industry. And so we will pick them and use them when we feel like it's right. And so there are some where like we hoped it would get older, but when we tasted a specific year, we go, it's perfect. Like it's not going to improve beyond this. Like at this point, it's going to get oakier, or it's going to,
Right.
it's going to shift away from the palate it's in. This allows us to capture it at the point where we think it's just right and bottle it in the way we want to.
Wow, I just tried it for the first time. It like you said, it kind of, this one reminds me a lot of the 5-year, but it kind of elevates it. Not only improve, obviously, but also just like, to me, it's almost like spicier for being just a corn and barley mash bill. Like it's surprisingly amount of baking spices in this one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like the sugars are also a little louder in there too. You're getting a lot more of that kind of like, not quite fondant, but that like vanilla icing kind of flavor that runs through the back end. And like the cherry's still there, but it's turning almost more plum. It's a lot of similar flavors, but they're just like dialed up in a way that make them bolder, louder, and more rounded, I think, as well.
Definitely. Do you guys do like any kind of like pick program where people can pick a single barrel, or is it just you guys making the selects yourself?
I mean, we have a club, so we do a VIP club where they'll come in and pick one of our single barrels for us, which is super fun. And then we do a lot of private barrel selects for local businesses, groups, companies, individuals, nonprofits. We do a lot of that because we have over 2,000 barrels aging, and so we're always happy to work with local folk or anyone who wants to come in and pick a barrel, and we'll make a custom label for them. It's just one of those things where we have that ability, and we have a lot of good products, so that is something we do a lot of. But as far as picking for the company, that is kind of an in-house thing mostly. But there are a few select instances where we have allowed some guest pickers for our product, for sure.
Awesome. Very good. Well, let's talk. You mentioned the charity barrels and the picks that your VIP club does. Tell us a little bit about those.
So we've worked with a number of nonprofit organizations throughout the years. We've done some work with firefighters organizations in and around the city. We've worked with some police organizations in and around the city. We've done a lot of fundraise work through a lot of different things. We actually have a rotating charity cocktail program here in our tasting room. So each month we pick a different cause, and the bar staff kind of gets to flex their creative muscles, and they come up with a really unique recipe, and we donate half the proceeds from a given month to whatever organization we're supporting. We've also done specific nonprofit barrels where they're being sold for a specific cause, or fundraising for something very particular. As an example, we just released we're calling it Sculpted in Spirit. It's we have the bottle right here actually. So this is going to be a fundraise for Cultural and Arts Foundation here in our own city of Centennial. We are raising funds to help set up an art installation in one of the city's art parks in 2026. And we released it this month, and we've actually almost raised 10 grand already for the cause. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, someone actually pointed that bottle on the website. They said they have a bottle with doggies on it. So they were interested in just getting the bottle because of the label.
We drew it for what it's worth. This is our in-house
really?
designer.
Oh, wow. Oh, is it like okay. No, I was going to ask what you guys do outside of whiskey. Apparently someone's an artist here.
More than he cares to admit.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's very cool. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to rush this, but we do have two more to drink through. Should we move to, I forget what order you said, the high rye or the wheated next?
Let's do the high rye next.
Okay. So what's the philosophy behind having different mash bills that you guys are doing? Because, a lot of distilleries will just stick to one mash bill or maybe two, but it seems like you guys have like three that you're playing with here. What's the reasoning behind that?
So, we started out with the corn and barley recipe. That was our OG recipe we've been doing for 10 years. I think it's around 5 years ago, we decided we wanted to experiment with a third grain because most people do 3 grains. That's the standard, right? And we weren't doing that. And so we thought, why not mix it up? Let's do something fresh. We're still independently owned. We have the right and the ability to do whatever we want to do. And so we've done some pretty creative stuff, but we figure, well, let's do what a lot of people are doing, and let's introduce some rye or let's introduce some wheat and see what happens. And they've both been received incredibly well. But the high rye is one of my personal favorites. This is one of my more recent blends that I put together. And it incorporates about 23% rye,
Okay.
unmalted rye, actually, which is a little bit weird. Most people use malted ryes and wheats in their whiskeys. We did an unmalted because we like the flavor better.
Hmm.
And yeah, we just decided to see what would happen, and it came out so nice.
I got a wild flavor note for you when we get to it too.
Oh yeah,
Or aroma note that I'm getting right now.
You just go for it. Just shout
Yeah,
it out.
let it rip.
This is kind of hitting me with strawberry Pop-Tarts right now.
I've said that before, and people mocked me. I was like, it's got kind of a Pop-Tart jamminess to it.
No, I'm totally getting it.
Okay.
Strawberry-
Well, I mean, maybe
strawberry
I should
straight
taste
up.
it before I ask that because I kind of get it too. It's something. It's something very specifically Pop Tart, like that dry pastry part of a Pop Tart. It's not very much like a fresh baked dessert. It's definitely like the drier part of the Pop Tart. I see where you're going with that. I do get that as well. Interesting.
It's funny too because I know you've said it before, but this is the first time I've actually like it's really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also very different. I mean, do you guys? You said, is this a blend of the other mash bill you're doing and then some additional one, or is this exclusively distilled at this mash bill?
Yes, that it is exclusively this mash bill.
Okay, gotcha.
We've only ever done one product where we blended two mash bills together. That was our Spartans blend release for the Colorado Spartans arena football team.
Okay.
That's the only time we've done that. It is something we're looking forward to doing in the future. But for the moment, everything that has like our name on it that says like we did bourbon, high rye bourbon, it's all consistently that one mash bill.
Gotcha. Okay. That's fun. That's definitely, I mean, it's different, but it still has all the character that I love about even like the 5-year. I mean, man, you guys, I mean, sorry, I almost choked. Like I said, like I'm kind of rounding up my top whiskeys of the year, and you guys like put in a dang good fight for the last stream of the year. And this is really just impressing me a lot. So even if it doesn't make the list this year, it's really, really good. And I'm so excited to see, like I said, even part 2 of this stream where we get into some of these more exclusive, independent, not exclusive. Well, the other ones we're doing, are they more finished or are they just different bottlings? I'm just curious about the part 2 that we're going to do.
They are exclusive to the tasting room. So
Okay,
those are ones
gotcha.
that you can't find in the market. You can only come to us to get them. And so they are highly limited releases where we're only doing them once. And because we get to be experimental, you know, we could try a cognac cask finish, a acacia wood cask finish, or, you know, we've played around with peas as a distillate. You know, there's a lot of things that we've done to just kind of get creative and do some strange stuff or like do some unorthodox things. But those are like
kind of like green peas. Now you caught my ear with that. What, like distilling peas?
Colorado field peas.
If I had a bottle that was bottled right now, I would have sent it to you.
Okay.
It's all in barrels right now. We released it in the past, and it was distilled with Colorado field peas. It was 30% of the mash bill, and it gave it such a rich umami flavor. It was like a kind of that earthy, soily mushroominess behind it.
Little vegetal.
Yeah.
What would you have to label that as? Because that's not a grain, right?
So
funny story.
That is a funny
I mean, I'm
story.
not to get you in trouble. I'm just curious.
Hey, it got approved, so we're not in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's TTB approved, so
yeah,
contact your local government.
We fought them on that for a long time because there are places in Europe that consider it a grain. It used to be considered a grain here, and we argued that point until someone finally submitted okay on the submission, and we said we can call it a whiskey. And so
wore them down.
We wore them down, and we won. We fought the law, and we won.
Whoa, that's crazy. I love it. I love crazy experimental stuff. That's kind of why I love reaching out to brands that aren't the big guys, because you know the big guys, the Diageo and all them, they're not going to be doing something fun like that. That's for sure.
No, it's a gamble. Cool. It's 100% a gamble. It's just like maybe it's good. I don't know. Let's find out. Like no one else is doing it, so why not?
Well, you said you guys are aging. You said 2,000 barrels. Are you guys? Is that like on site, or is that do you guys have like a rick house somewhere else? I'm just curious about like where you're putting all the barrels.
So it's on our owner's farm in Elizabeth.
Okay.
Which is nearby. It's like 30 minutes away from here. We used to store them here, but we're kind of maxed out on space in this automotive garage we've taken over, and so they're all in his barn out on his property.
Awesome. Well, it just has some people chiming in. So this is about the charity bottle, 10 grand. That's not a small thing. Very sweet. Yeah, very awesome. Congratulations on raising that. That's definitely don't want to skip over that. Don Nishida says he has some time. He has this Saturday open. He may take a trip to Centennial to visit. Someone else was asking. Yeah, someone else was saying where exactly are they located. So you said Centennial, Colorado?
Yes. So south of Denver, kind of the smaller suburbs in between Parker and Denver.
Yeah, if you're from Colorado or feel acquainted with the greater Denver area, there's the Denver Broncos have a practice field down here in it's technically unincorporated territory, but it's in Centennial, and we're just east of that practice field. We're within about 3 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, Tony says he's regretting not stopping by when he was there in Denver. Well, next time, Tony, for sure.
Yeah, next time, Tony.
Don said he was curious about the volunteer bottling experience that he saw on the website. Do you have any info on that?
Well, it's something that we've done before. It's something that we're looking to do again. But basically, it takes a village to do what we do. And we, again, have no automation. Everything is done by hand. And so when we're fulfilling bottlings of 6, 7, 8 barrels at a time, it takes a lot of effort. And so we'll call in volunteers. And the way we do that is through the website. As you mentioned, there is a sign up, which puts you into a spreadsheet, which will randomly pick people from the spreadsheet to send out emails and let you know that you've been selected. And then we'll invite you out and let you help us bottle everything. And then we'll treat you with a little gift bottle on the way out. And just as a thank you for your hard work. And yeah, it's a fun way to get the community involved and to try to help us on the back end, make our lives a little easier, getting from barrels to bottles, because it's a task.
I can imagine. I mean, well, I think one of the best things about whiskey is like the community it brings together. So I feel like an event like that would just be such a fun, just gathering of fellow whiskey lovers. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would also like be like a bottle share at the end. Like, okay, if you guys do this, we'll share some bottles. Like you said, you guys do that a little bit of that too. So that's awesome. Well, yeah, if you guys are local, check that out. The sign-up's on their website. Just click on experiences and then volunteer bottling. All right, we got a agriculture question. They're asking this might be industry secrets. They don't have to reveal what seed brand they use, but I guess RV Shy Guy's asking about the corn you guys use.
I'm not 100% certain, if I'm honest. I believe it is a sweet corn variant, and it is human food grade.
Okay.
So it is used in cereal, and it's used as feed, and it's used as it's a very versatile corn. But it is just what that dairy farm specializes in, is who we've used from the beginning. We have a really good relationship with them, and so we've just continued that relationship. But that is something that the distiller might know that I don't know the specific seed type of.
Yeah, that's a great corn question. I will give you a hats off for that one. That is the most in-depth corn question we've ever been asked.
Yeah, I've been asked a lot of corn questions.
Good on you.
I didn't know what I was getting into when I was reading. I was like, you know what? Listen, this community is filled of nerds of different types. Apparently, we have corn nerds as well. So that's a thing.
Those are our people.
No, I can tell you this is hard winter rye. I'm not entirely sure about the corn, if I'm honest.
Well, what's funny is, I was taking a sip of this while I was reading that comment, and honestly, you said sweet corn. And the sweet corn, even though this is the rye mash bill, the sweeter corn does show up here. You can still tell. Like you said the rye mash bill was what, 23% or something?
23% rye, and then I think it's like 65 corn, and then the remainder, which is like 25% or something, barley.
Oh, that's still relatively high. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, no, it's just different. It's just funny that we're talking corn, and I feel like it's a lot sweeter, even compared to the 3, 5, and 6 year. I feel like the corn is expressing itself sweeter, and it could just be because it's combined with that rye as well. Like
the rye brings
out a
little
bit brighter.
Yeah, the rye brings out like a honey note, which really elevates that the sugars of the corn and makes it brighter. Certainly.
Awesome. Doug from Taste and Sensibility says, in my upcoming retirement and camper van traveling, I would go to distilleries like this in a second, buy all the products, buy special releases, and talk to the inmates. Well, I don't know if you're gonna take them prisoner. I don't know what to interpret that as, but hey, as long as you're buying their whiskey, they might be okay with it.
I mean, we've been known to cause some trouble, but nothing that.
Maybe he's with the TTB about that labeling. He's coming to get you. I'm just kidding. So the RIP Shy Guy was asking because his wife is a project manager at a Fortune 500 crop protection company. Oh yeah, you don't want to answer his question. That I'm just kidding. I don't know. Then he says I'm big on supporting local. Okay, that's the better answer. I like that one better.
Cheers.
All right. Well, we have one more whiskey to try here. This is the wheated one. So, like you said, this is kind of an experimental thing you were just trying out to see how a wheated mash bill would do with your grains. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me highlight you so you can see that. different logo. It's a different color compared to the other ones.
Yeah. In fact, since you've got it zoomed in, I don't think we did it for the rye.
Oh, sorry.
But
Oh, of course.
we
Because
also
rye is
have-
always green. Because I don't know who made that decision, but it always
I
is.
don't either. Rye's not necessarily green. I don't know
No,
why.
I
It
know.
is. It is.
It's something that I feel like I've talked about. It's just like someone at some point decided that rye was the green color, so now everyone just uses green.
Yeah.
So tell us
this
about the
one-
weeded one. What's the mash bill we're dealing with here?
So very, very similar to the high rye, but it's 22% wheat instead of 23%. And then the rest is corn and barley. Similarly, it's 67 corn, I think,
That sounds right.
and then 11 barley, I believe is correct on this one.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
So you said I think it was you, Mitch. You said that the high rye one was more your style. Do you think what makes the wheat one different for you? Do you see it more as being maybe a cocktail whiskey, or is it more of just like you just prefer sipping? I'm just curious, like why you have a preference. Obviously, we all have preferences, but what makes the rye over the wheat for you personally?
So for me personally, I think that the rye has a lot more complexity of the grain, and you get the spiciness that comes through the back end, and the honeyed, and the brightness. And I think it works really well in old fashions and Manhattans. I think it works good as a straight pour. And I really enjoy the soft roundness of it. I think it just complements the way I drink, if that makes sense. Like the way it rolls off the tongue, I really enjoy. The weeded by far is the most popular.
Oh, really? Interesting.
The high rye is just as the blender, it's just a special spot in my heart. It just
Sure.
I really enjoyed working on it. I really enjoy the final product. But the weeded is 3-time double gold international award winning now. And
Oh, wow.
it
Congratulations.
is the people pleaser. Thank you.
We were happy with it, and we're always thrilled with the barrel and bottle picks that Mitch puts out. But it cleans house at international spirits competitions, so we're real thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's definitely softer. It's creamier. It like has this like richness to it. It's kind of got that like nuttiness that really comes through, the macadamia nuts, that are kind of cashews, vanilla cream. There's like a hint of like a red berry that kind of hangs out in there, white chocolate. It's just a really soft, approachable, really densely flavored bourbon.
I was going to say, because I feel like a lot of people, either whether they see it as a compliment or they see it as more of a negative, they think of wheat as less of a flavoring grain than like a rye is for a whiskey. But it's interesting because you guys are making a 2-grain as like your standard core lineup, which is just the corn and the barley. So adding wheat to it, it's kind of interesting because it's like if it's not a flavoring grain, like what is the wheat you think brings to it that the corn and barley can't do on their own, but do differently than with wheat? I'm curious to hear what you think about that.
I think it's texture.
Texture.
I think it is. I would almost consider it a flavoring grain in ours just because it does taste wildly different from our standard lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I think it's the creaminess, the richness, that kind of like white chocolate and like macadamia nut, cashew, kind of soft vanilla notes.
There's a I've always gotten it. I got this with beers too, but like a red berry. Just kind of like generally red berry kind of flavor that comes along with it too. It's like a soft cherry or a soft strawberry.
We get strawberry a lot on our weeded.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a hint of a small strawberry note, which is funny.
What's the proof on both the rye and the strawberry, the rye and the weeded?
What was the question?
The proof on them.
Oh, they're both 92.
92. Okay.
Oh no, sorry. The rye is 88. The wheat is 92.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's even higher proof than that. Yeah, I mean, I will say that's what I've always felt like. Weeded bourbons drink softer, like even the proof, even at higher proof. I would never have guessed that was the 92 proof one. I think that one, for me personally, if I'm sipping bourbon neat, I like to go to more of a rye profile. So that's why neat, I like the high rye one. But I will say I love an old fashioned with a weeded bourbon. So I think that one as a cocktail bourbon would just be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel similar. That's like I said, I like the high rye bourbon personally, but I usually drink it neat. The weeded bourbon is very, very good. I don't know. There's just something about the high rye that's special in my mind, but the weeded is by far the people pleaser through the distillery. Anyone who tries it falls in love with it.
That's awesome. Well, for your tasting room, can you tell, like, if someone were to visit, like, what can they experience if they were to visit the distillery?
So it's good to Yeah, thank you. It's good to start out with the days of operation. So anyone who is local or comes to visit knows. Thursday and Friday, 2 to 8 p.m. Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m. Sunday, 12 to 4 p.m. We're a small team of like 11 people, so it's difficult to keep it open 24 hours a day.
Sure.
But we do have a 2-room tasting room with a full cocktail bar. Our ideology in the cocktail world is try to bring Denver quality cocktails to the suburbs of Centennial. So everything is elevated to a point where we feel proud of it. And we experiment with clarifications and foams and all the things that you would find in Denver.
But not as expensive as Denver.
But not as expensive as Denver.
There you
in
go.
the suburbs. But we do flights. We have the specific bottles that are only released through the tasting room, so that this is the only place you can get some of the cool stuff that we've done, like our locally aged cherry port bourbon. That's a new one that came out recently that's been very popular. And then, of course, we also offer tours, and we have some local snacks and things like that in here as well.
We get a little weird sometimes too. We had a flash tattoo event at the tasting room last year. We our holiday party this year, we set up a mini golf course in the back of the distillery. So
I was like,
here to have a
alcohol and
good time.
tattoos, I feel like those go together more often than they should. But you know what? It's still good. You know,
It's
it's
where
a
I
good
got
time
my
with good
first.
friends. Yeah, for sure. That's true. Well, so I did have, so you guys mentioned, so I'm looking back at our initial emails, which thank you guys. It's been a while since we first reached out, so I'm glad we finally made this happen. You guys said you had a roll for old fashioned menu on your tasting bar. Can you tell us a little bit about that one? So, like, if you didn't notice from the thumbnail, these guys are a little bit nerdy. You saw the D&D shirt, and you saw the. Oh wait, oh I missed it. Wait, hold on. Sorry. Roll for old fashioned. Let the fates decide. By the way, that's an impeccable image of you, right next to the wizard there. So tell us about this. Well, we'll talk about the nerdiness, and is my next question. But tell us about this menu and like what this entails.
So we have some actually some lovely rolling boards that are some of our customers made for us. But I used to do a monthly old fashioned as part of the tasting room, just kind of like, come in, try the new month's old fashioned. And I realized that's fun, but you know, it'd be more fun as nerds. We were like, what if we built a table of ingredients encapsulating most of our whiskeys, a lot of bitters, a lot of syrups, a lot of garnishes, and we just let you roll dice, and whatever happens, happens.
Each dice represents a different component in the drink. Usually they're amazing. Sometimes they're weird as shit.
They're rarely bad. The dice are usually benevolent, but there are some like hot whiskeys, and there's a peppercorn aged pea whiskey on there. And like, so there's some like funky things that happen, some rum and stuff. But generally speaking, they're usually pretty good. But
weird is not necessarily bad either. I think we've maybe in the thousands of these that we've made only ever had like 1 to 2 of them not get drank.
That's true.
Well, I was like, that's part of the gamble of the roll, right? Like you're like, you know, you got yourself into that. I mean, even like with, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, you know, you can roll a nat 1. Like it's not going to be a fun time for you, but that's awesome. So, okay, let's talk about the nerdiness, because I know when I reached out to you guys were super excited. So tell me, okay, what are you guys into? Are you guys into video games? Are you guys into tabletop games? I'm very curious to hear, like, what kind of nerds are you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. D&D stuff. We're D&D nerds. We're Magic the Gathering nerds. We play weekly, basically. Big commander pod going on kind of thing. I do a lot of video games. He also does some video games.
Most of us watch anime.
Oh, a lot of anime. We've got a few pinball stands around the distillery. I know Ted goes to the annual like pinball like expo thing. Cole's over at One Up playing pinball like every night. So I mean, we've done everything from classic arcade to tabletop to card games and deck building to video games. We have a Mario sticker all over the wall in the other room. Like, no, yeah. I mean, the answer is
it definitely sounds like my kind of place. I know as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, I got to visit this place. I mean, that's awesome. Well, a question I normally ask people is like, you know, do you have, it's kind of a 2-parter question. One, is there like a video game you grew up playing that you're just nostalgic about and you still love it to this day because of that? And then 2, like, is there anything you've been playing, whether it's a video game or, you know, a board game lately that you could recommend to folks? And I apologize, our fire alarm in our building is going off. I hope it doesn't go off in here. So if it does, I might mute myself. Just wanted to warn you before I muted myself.
I've got a game I've been nostalgic about, but I've played it recently, and it's one of those things like going back to GoldenEye
Oh
that
my
doesn't
gosh,
feel the
yes.
same. But what was it? It was Jet Force Gemini. I
Oh, I'm
That
not
was
familiar with
back
that
on
one.
like in six. I think it was in 64, and
Okay.
it's just like it was like the OG GoldenEye, like alien shooter. Felt kind of like Halo before Halo, and
Okay.
I played it again recently. I was like, this is terrible. Uh, but I've always been nostalgic about it until Switch put it on its emulator thing, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this all day. Didn't do that.
Oh, they
No,
don't always hold up. Like even like I mean even games that I knew I loved as a kid, I go back and like, what are these controls? This is trash.
yeah,
Like what am I doing? So
it's
I
same
mean
thing with
even
Banjo
but I will
Kazooie.
say GoldenEye
Yeah.
is very much a what's I'm a little sad because I was actually at an Airbnb in Kentucky with a bunch of whiskey friends, some of them here in the chat now. And our Airbnb had a Nintendo 64 with the original GoldenEye on it. And I guess we just got too distracted by the whiskey, but we completely forgot that we had that and we didn't play it at all.
Bummer.
So I'm very, very sad about that. So I'm gonna have to
That
like
is sad.
play an emulator of that sometime soon because I love the hell out of that game.
So did I.
GoldenEye, great. Underrated game, Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark wasn't great. That was an awesome game.
Fantastic
They need to
game.
re-release it.
They do.
New Perfect Dark. We need that.
My answer to that question, though, I grew up playing Diablo 2. I'm a huge
Okay.
RPG, high fantasy, anything in that realm, I'm usually down for. Diablo 2 is fantastic. I played it way longer than most people probably did, and then they remade it in like the last 5 years, and it was still awesome. And they didn't
Oh, that's
really change
awesome.
that much. And
See, there's
I'll
say
tell
there's
you,
one of the examples where they actually did a really good job with the re-release.
yeah, and Diablo 3 was fine, Diablo 4 is fine. They could not recapture the magic of D2. That game was fucking phenomenal, and honestly, it still is. It's still a blast.
I've not played it. I mean, I hear about like the earlier releases of that game more so than I hear about the more recent ones. So I think I don't think you're alone in feeling like the classics are better than the more recent versions.
I didn't think about more modern games, but I have a soapbox here.
Okay,
Bad
go for
Company
it.
2. Battlefield Bad Company 2 was one of the best
Okay.
Battlefields of all time. It's incredible. And I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6 lately. Love it to death. But the developers literally came out and said, we don't know how we got Battlefield Bad Company 2 so good, and we cannot emulate that again, so we're not going to release a third one because we don't know what we did. We don't know
Oh
how we
wow!
made
I
the
didn't even
magic.
okay, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not really good at first person shooters. Like, so I usually don't play them that often. I knew about Battlefield 6 because I know like all the hype it's been getting, but I've never even
Yeah,
heard of Battlefield Bad Company 2. It's from 2010 apparently. Came out on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
it was
Interesting.
magic. There's not been one like it since.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
That
have
is
to.
literally
It was
the
is it more of just like the story mode or like multiplayer? Like, what was your favorite part about it?
It just felt good. The story mode was
Okay.
fun because it was whimsical, it was funny, it was like a big departure from their usual tone. But there was something about the destructive, it was one of the first times they introduced a lot of destruction into the game. So like,
Destructible environments.
Yeah.
Oh, like the environment. Oh, I love that. Oh man, that's one of my favorite things too. Honestly, even though I don't like first person shooters, I love watching the gameplay videos of them, just seeing like how the environment reacts to it. It's pretty crazy.
yeah, so it was just one of those things where you could have a guy on your team with a grenade launcher and be like, "There's a guy in the building, take out that wall," and then the other guy's watching, waiting, and just shoots him through the wall. And it was like there was something about the teamwork in it and the way it flowed that just felt so natural and authentic. And it's like they've been trying to recreate it ever since, and it was lightning in a bottle. It just you can't do it.
Bourbon Before Bacon said, "Love the Proxy Mines and JB Winter
Yes,
silo." I'm assuming that has something to
absolutely.
do with the game. I just featured it because I'm like, I don't know.
No, 100%. No, like, see, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this.
you got at least one person remembers this game. Okay.
Yes.
And then Emily's dropping the links to the other games you mentioned on the Steam
Jet Force
store.
Gemini.
Okay,
Oh my god.
I'll
Yeah.
check those out. It's apparently on the. So that one's on. Is it on the like the Nintendo like the premium like where you get the emulated games?
Yeah, well, I don't think I have the premium, but just the regular Switch, not the Switch 2, where you
Okay.
can go in and just like it has like Banjo Kazooie and like a bunch of the other old games.
Mm.
They just added Jet Force Gemini to it.
Okay. Well, I'll have to check that. We have a Switch too, but I still have. I don't know if I can still. Honestly, my husband is more of a gamer than I am. I just pretend to be on the internet. But he has a Switch too. I just had the original Switch, but I will definitely look into playing that sometime soon.
Bro, Stardew Valley on the Switch though.
Oh, listen, Stardew Valley.
So good.
I can go in a soapbox about that. Again, my husband he followed the development of that game. Like he was following the developer for years. And then when it came out, I think we were still in college when it came out. Man, it's been out for a while. And like, yeah, we both went crazy. Like we played it, and like I've played it on all the releases of it and mobile. I love Stardew Valley. So I'm a casual gamer. I've always considered myself a casual gamer. I love a game where you can just like spend a couple hours in and just like that be it. That's why I can't get too into like first person shooters, because I think you got to be like hardcore dedicated to them.
No, for sure. And like my wife's a big cozy gamer. She likes the casual games, so she fell in love with Stardew. I played it afterward. We ended up making a farm together. But like,
I love multiplayer on it. It's fun.
Yeah. It has like the mines where you can fight and like get interactive with it, and then she could farm, and it was a great mix because I do like competitive shooters. Your Valorants, Counter Strikes, you know. I've put I don't know how many thousands of hours into Rainbow Six Siege. And so like I like that competitive shooter environment because it pushes you, it makes you stress. And she likes cozy games, and I think Stardew has a little something for everyone. I just think that's a good game.
I'm a little bit of both. Like, listen, I love the cozy games, but I also love a good platformer where you just swear up a storm every time you die and you just have to keep doing it over and over and over again. I used to stream some of those on Twitch, and then I feel like I'm glad I stopped because I'd probably be banned by my language by the end of it because I got very, very agitated after dying for the 80th time. So
have you played Silk Song yet?
I haven't. My husband's played it. I played the original Hollow Knight, but I've not played Silk Song yet. But I've watched him play it. That looks way too hard for me. I would be so bad at that game.
You talked about a platformer where you swear up a storm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even just watching it, I'm like, I watched like the boss battles. I'm like, what are you even doing? Like, what's even? He's like, oh yeah, this is like my like 20th time trying this. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's weird.
I would have to have a few drinks.
It's weird to see a platformer Souls-like. It is it is a special breed of pain.
Yeah, I would. It's one of those ones that like I'd have to set down after like a little bit because I think I would get so frustrated that I'm not one to like punch holes in the wall or like break things, but I feel like a game like that would make me a little bit tempted to do that.
It is one of the few games where I've had to go, I'm turning this off and I'm walking away because I'm going to do something I regret if I continue to play this.
That's totally understandable. Don said you haven't had great gameplay until you played Combat on Atari. It was augmented with our imagination, and we loved it. I have not played that.
No, I mean, I like a lot of the classic Atari games, but I haven't played that one.
I've not heard of it. Yeah,
Slug and stuff like that was fun, but.
I see this is a joke. One of my favorite games is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C19. Okay. Well, okay. Okay. So final question before. Oh, actually, I have two questions. Sorry, I know we're a little bit over time, but question: when you guys aren't drinking Branch and Barrel whiskey, like what are your favorite? Whether it's a whiskey or a cocktail, like what's your go-to outside of what you guys are working on daily?
If I'm drinking a cocktail, it's probably a Negroni Riff. Negroni Boulevardier, something with bitter.
I was gonna say, like, you really like bitter, yeah.
I do. If for Nat Malort, we're all hipsters here.
That's true. We're split here, yeah.
If not Branch and Barrel whiskey, probably Colorado whiskey. But if not Colorado whiskey, Japanese or Islay Scotch. I like.
Ooh, nice.
I like both delicate and like very heavy flavors in the whiskey world.
I was gonna say Japanese. I have very limited experience with Japanese whiskey, but I do love Islay Scotch. You know, I love how different it is from bourbon. You know, I started as a bourbon drinker, and then someone tried to like prank me by giving me like Octomore, and I was like, and they expected me to like hate it, but I was like, I really like this, so I went off the deep end with Scotch as well. So I have my bourbon shelf over here and Scotch shelf over here.
Yeah, that's kind of how my bar's set up. I have so much peated Scotch at home. No, we're similar. I also like a lot of bitter cocktails, mezcal, Islay Scotch, Pachuga. I drink a lot of Colorado. There's a lot of really good single malt in Colorado, a lot of good bourbon out here as well. So I drink a lot of that. I do like Elijah Craig. I like Knob Creek. Knob Creek has a special place in my heart.
Me too.
Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond is still, I think, one of the best, like, for the price, Kentucky bourbons you can get.
The blue label one, right?
The white.
White and blue. Well, yeah, so there was an original Heaven Hill Bottle of Bond that was exclusive to Kentucky that everyone raved over. That was like 7 year, I think.
Yeah.
But then the new one is the 8-year one, I think.
Yeah, no, the blue label, just like Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond,
Yeah.
super good.
Yeah.
I take it disc golfing. It's just a good time.
Did you see that Knob Creek, they filed a new TTB label for another 12-year cask strength that's potentially going to be more available than the last one? I'm a Knob Creek, like I literally have a Knob Creek section on my shelf. I love Knob Creek. So their regular 12-year 100 proof is one of my favorites, but there was a cask strength option that was very, very limited a couple years ago. And there's a TTB filing where they're going to hopefully be releasing that more wide.
I haven't had that. I've had a lot of their 9-year cask strength. I haven't had their 12-year cask strength. So
it's good. It's listen, I just bought a single barrel from so many years ago. It's like a 14 or 15-year single barrel of Knob Creek, and oh my god, their stuff just at higher ages. Like that's my kryptonite. Like I will swear by that all day, every day. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, okay. Last question. What is next for Branch and Barrel? Like I said, we have a part 2 of the stream where we're going to try some of the exclusive whiskeys to their tasting room. But what's next? What big things are you guys working on, or what are your goals and hopes for the future of the brand?
Stout month.
That's a big one. That's a big
Stout
one.
Month. Okay, go on.
Stout month.
So we collaborate a lot with both local distilleries, wineries, breweries. We like to play in the space, you name it. But we have a number of stout cask finishes and beer cask finishes coming out in February to celebrate Stout Month, which we're really excited about. So if you are local and you like the idea of a really delicious, unique beer finished whiskey, we're going to have some great ones coming out. We've got a Belgian Golden Strong ice cream ale finish. We've got an Imperial Stout finish. We've got a Horchata White Stout finish.
Oh, wow. Are these with like local breweries as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That kind of, I saw one more question come in at the very end, and it's kind of similar to on that topic. He's like, how is the Colorado distillery community camaraderie, or not just distilleries, but Colorado brewing and distilling? Like, is there like a community there, or do people get along, or is everyone like, no, I hate you, don't talk to me?
It's definitely not like the last thing there. There's not a lot of animosity in this industry, at least not that we've experienced.
No.
I definitely think like breweries and wineries and distilleries collaborate really openly, at least those who are like willing to. Those of us who want to do those more unique finishes, there's always somebody who's down to clown, and we love that. Distillery wise, it's definitely it's kind of like a tier system. And I'm not going to name names, but there are some distilleries that just kind of sit on a different tier, and they don't really interact with a lot of the more like small to mid-sized guys. But
Sure.
The rest of us love the collaboration, the creativity. We're always down to link up. We go to a lot of our favorite tasting rooms, and we try to support the brands that we love. We'll collaborate. We'll host you for a tour. We'll come out for a tour. We want to learn what everyone else is doing too. And we have a lot of great friends in this industry. I definitely don't think we've ever felt like we're at odds with anybody.
No. And there's also a local distillers guild that we're a part of. And so we'll meet up like every month and like hang out and shoot the shit and like talk about the local legislation and what's happening in the industry. And so like we all kind of try to like work with each other because we all have our own individual strengths and flavors and things that we're doing. And so it's not really an industry where we're competitive against each other so much as like, well, if you really like single malt, we don't have one. I recommend trying these 3 other people that have incredible single malt that we love. And it's kind of a cool way of being able to lift each other up, because unlike a crab in a bucket situation, we're all stronger when we lift each other up the whole way. And so I'd like to think that we're a really strong community that supports each other. And like you said, we do collaborations. We've done it with a few distilleries in the past. We got a few more looking to collaborate with us in the future. And just do some really fun, unique things that are distinctly Colorado and all made with love.
Putting Colorado on the map for whiskey is a group project.
That's right.
Well said. Well said. Well, if people are looking to follow Branch and Barrel on the web, I know you guys are very active on Instagram. You have a website. I think Emily had the website. I don't want to misspell the website here. Where can people find you guys on the web?
BAB Distilling. So
BAB
whether it's babdistilling.com, BAB Distilling on Instagram, BAB Distilling on Facebook. Those are the big ones. We also have a TikTok, which I think is also bab.distilling.
Nice.
But yeah, primarily it's going to be the Instagram, the Facebook, or the website, which are all more or less BAB Distilling.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for reminding me because I found it when I searched as you said that. So yeah, BAB Distilling. Check it out. Like I said, their core portfolio is there. We're going to try some of their more exclusive pours very, very soon. So make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed today's stream. I saw some people commenting. And then there is this bottle that we are teasing because we're going to be trying this on next week. Or not Christmas Day, you guys. Come back. I'm just kidding. No. Next time we stream, we got to tell us about this skill check. I love this. Tell us about this one.
So we talked about local collaborations. This is a 4-player collab, as we say right in here. This was Whiskey Slickers. They brought us together. It's a local whiskey group. They're really great gals, and they work really hard in the industry to really bring a lot of attention to things that don't get attention. And they partnered us up with Root Shoot Spirits, or Root Shoot Distilling, which does one of the best single malts in America. They were recently voted. There's Mile High Spirits, which did an incredible hazard-proof wheated bourbon that they put into this blend, as well as our 6-year single barrel cask strength. So it was a 6-year bourbon from us, a hazard-proof wheated from Mile High, and a cask strength single malt from Root Shoot. And so it ended up being about 120 proof, and it is 1 barrel from each one of our distilleries, all blended together to be a unified Colorado bottle. It is D&D themed because we are nerds and we love that sort of thing, but it is also appropriate to what we did to create this. And if you are nerds and you hate yourselves or love really dry comedy, we did put together an entire series advertising this where he dressed up as a wizard. I was some kind of barbarian, and Mary from Whiskey Slickers was a bard, and we all went out on a road trip and visited all the distilleries and did a whole D&D campaign about creating this product.
Oh my God. Wait, how can people find that? And people meaning me, how can I find that?
That is on our Instagram. It was done with a budget of $0. There was no script, and it shows. It is a fantastic whiskey, though, and massive shout out to Mary and Jess of Whiskey Slickers for curating that project. We couldn't have done it without them, and they're also lovely friends of ours. Check out Whiskey Slickers, Broads of Bourbon. They're terrific.
That's true.
Okay, well, before we try that whiskey, I'm going to have to watch that series because that sounds fantastic. So.
I apologize in advance, but it was a lot of fun.
Listen, I was part of my own D&D campaign on the internet, and as someone that has never played D&D before, it shows. So, but it was still a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it, but awesome. Well, Josh and Mitch, thank you all so much for coming on the channel. I can't wait for part 2 of this. Like I said, those of you that are, I see people are following you guys on Instagram, followed. Bourbon Before Bacon says hit that like. Yes, thank you so much. Looking forward to January. Cheers, everyone. Awesome. Well, people are very excited for our next stream. So make sure to follow them on Instagram. Make sure to follow me and subscribe to me because that's where you'll find us next. Again, Josh and Mitch, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I cannot wait to try our part 2 of this. I'm going to be enjoying these for the rest of the night, though, because they're really good.
Please do.
Hey, thanks for having us. Happy holidays, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, everyone. I will see you in 2026 with my top 10 whiskeys of the year, premiering January 1st. Bye, everyone.
Bye.